Param. Om Vakrathunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankara Acharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampadam Asmad Gurubhyo Namaha श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः ओम श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम शांति 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 हरिः ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ओम Namaste everyone.
Namaste Guruji.
Guruji.
Namaste Guruji.
Namaste.
Namaste Guruji. Namaste.
Sadeva dattoyami tiha chaikata viruddha dharmam shamapasya kathyate yatha tata tattvamasiti vakye viruddha dharmanubhayatra hitva संलक्ष्य चिन्मात्रतया सदात्मनोः अखंड भावः परिचीयते बुधैः एवं महावाक्य शतेन कथ्यते ब्रह्मात्मनोरैक्यम् अखंड भावः. So we are seeing these two slokas together, 79 and 80. And in the last class, we saw how by applying the Bhagatyaga Lakshana, we can arrive at the correct understanding of Tattvamasi Mahavakya. For that matter, any Mahavakya which proclaims the oneness of Jiva and Ishvara. This is how we understand the equation which equates the Tat Padartha and the Tvam Padartha in the Tattvamasi Mahavakya. So in these two slokas, 79 and 80, Shankaracharya elaborates on the process by which the Bhagatyaga Lakshana is to be implemented. And he does this with the help of a well-known Shastric example, Soyam Devadattaha. That Devadatta of the past and the Devadatta of the present, the current time, are one and the same. We saw that in detail or elaborately with the example of Narmada Hostel Krishna and Swami Krishnananda. So the first step in the implementation is Viruddha Dharmamsham Apasya. Apasya means remove. Mentally, intellectually removing the contradictory physical features, Viruddha Dharmamsham, on both sides of Tatpadartha and Tvam. That is dropping the Panchakoshas from the Jiva side of the equation and dropping Maya from the Ishvara side of the equation. That's the first step. Then he said, Viruddha Dharman Ubhayatra Hitva. So having set aside, having removed mentally the opposite attributes on either side, Ubhayatra means either side, of the equation, which are Maya and superior attributes related to Ishvara, body, mind, sense complex and inferior attributes related to the Jiva, Akhanda Bhavaha Parichiyate Mudaihi. He said, that is how wise people equate, understand the oneness of Jiva and Ishvara. And for the meaning to sink in and get assimilated, we said the Deha Abhimana has to be set aside. You have to drop the Panchakoshas. At the time of Mahavakya Shravanam, the Panchakosha Viveka topic must be alive in the mind of the student. So by applying this Bhagatyaga Lakshana, the student must arrive at the Sakshi Chaitanyam on both sides of the equation. There should be no other thought when you are doing the Mahavakyam analysis, understanding. When you have set aside the contradictory attributes, contradictory physical features, and arrive at the Sakshi Chaitanyam on both the sides. So at the time of Mahavakya, the student is as though in Samadhi. Samadhi means he is absorbed in the meaning of the word Chaitanyam. He has forgotten the body, mind, family, fatherhood, motherhood, husbandhood, all other hoods. He is in absorption during Mahavakya Shravanam. So, Shravanam itself becomes Nididhyasana. If I am able to arrive at Sakshi Chaitanyam, the consciousness, and completely forget my worldly individuality, at least for that time being. And that is what Shankaracharya says here. Chinmatrataya sanlakshya. By Bhagatyaga Lakshana, arrive at Chinmatram, the consciousness alone. That is not only on the Jiva's side. We have to go to the Ishvara side, the creator also. Only because of Maya, Brahman becomes the creator. Brahman plus Maya is equal to Ishvara. And all the creation that we attribute to Ishvara is because of Maya. So if I set aside the Mithya Maya, Ishvara is not a creator. Therefore, the creator status of Ishvara is only incidental. In Mahavakya Shravanam, Mahavakya analysis, that status goes away. Vyavaharikam Brahman is gone. What is left behind is the non-creator, the consciousness, Paramarthikam Brahma Chaitanyam. That is what is left on the Ishvara side. On the Jiva side, the Panchakoshas are gone, and what is left with is Atma Chaitanyam. So we come to Chaitanyam on both sides, consciousness. Now we must not understand that there is one consciousness on the Jiva side and another one on the Ishvara side, and they both are same. There is only one all-pervading consciousness called Brahman. And there is this enclosed consciousness called Atma. So the enclosed consciousness Atma and the all-pervading consciousness Brahman, both are one and the same. It is just like, there is a hall, a big hall. It has got a lot of space, let us say some 1,000 square feet space. Now what you do, you go and partition that hall into 10 rooms of 10 by 10 each. No, that one. Okay, into 10 rooms of equal size. So 1,000 square feet, if you have to, each room will be 100 square feet, correct? 10 by 10, correct. So 10 rooms you have created. Now, what has happened? Previous to this partitioning, there was only one space in the hall. Now, has that one space become 10 spaces because of 10 rooms? Hall has been partitioned into 10 rooms. For saying purposes, we can say space room number 1, room number 2 space, room number 3 space, etc. But the reality is there is only one space. That has been enclosed into small enclosures. If we remove the enclosures, there is only the original space. Similarly, the Chaitanyam or Brahman is one. That Chaitanyam gets enclosed in different bodies, whether it is an animal body or a plant body or a human body. That does not mean that each body has got its own Brahman. Brahman is one only. So, the enclosed consciousness Atma and the all-pervading consciousness Brahman, both are one and the same. And that is what is said here. Chinmatrataya sanlakshya lakshyartam swikritya satatmanoho. Here, the word Sat means Brahman. Atma means Atma. So, Satatmanoho means for the words Brahman and Atma, having taken the Lakshyartha, Akhanda Bhavaha Parichiyate Budaihi. So, Vyavaharikam Brahman is gone. Vyavaharikam Atma is also gone. Paramarthikam Brahman and Paramarthikam Atma, total consciousness and individual consciousness alone remain in the equation. Akhanda Bhavaha means non-divisible nature. Khanda means to divide. Akhanda means non-divisible. Because consciousness is non-dual, consciousness is non-divisible, consciousness is partless also. You remember, you must recall the definition, 5-featured consciousness. Therefore, you cannot say individual consciousness is a product of total consciousness. There is only one consciousness. Individual consciousness is total consciousness. Their division is only seeming division because of the container, the body. And as I gave you the example, you must remember. Like for example, the Shastric example, I gave you the example of a hall and rooms. Shastric example is pot space. We have got a pot and there is a space inside the pot in which we can fill water, whatever it is, right? So we will call it a pot space. Outside the pot is total space. Now, is the pot space different from the outside, the total space? They are one and the same. There is no separate pot space which is a product of total space. Even when we say part space, it is not a part of total space. Because space you cannot divide, it cannot have parts. Therefore, it is neither a product nor a part. There is only one non-dual, individual, partless space. Gaudapada Acharya explained this very beautifully in Mandukya 3rd chapter. Nakashasya ghatakasho vikaravayavau yatha naivatmanas sada jivah vikaravayavau yatha. Same example, pot space and ghatakasha means pot space. Akasha means space. So if we understand this, that the consciousness that is there in me is the same consciousness which pervades the entire universe. And the consciousness in me is not a part or a product of the total consciousness. Then I will understand I am neither part of God, nor am I the product of God. I am God. If you take that Lakshyartha, that is my real nature. And therefore, Acharya says here, Akhanda Bhava, non-divisible oneness, Parichiyate Budhaihi. Parichiyate means Nischiyate, ascertained, clearly understood, registered by Budhaihi. Here the word Budhaihi, we can take it to mean a competent student or a mumukshu or a wise person also. So on the one hand, we can take it as a mumukshu or a wise person. Both the meanings we can take. Who is a competent student? One who has taken sannyasa. And when I say sannyasa, it is not the saffron-robed sannyasi. Don't worry. Here, sannyasa means you forget panchakosha abhimana. Na mrityur na shanka na me jati bheda hai. Pita naiva me naiva mata na janma. Na bandhur na mitram gurur naiva shishya hai. Chidananta rupa shivoham shivoham. That is what? My nature. In fact, Dakshinamurti Sotram also put it very beautifully. Vishwam pashyati karya karanataya swaswami sambandhataha shishyacharya tataiva pitruputra dhyatmana bhedataha swapne jagrati vaya yesha purushaha maya paribhramitaha. Same message, different words are used, different expressions are used. So, sannyasa means discard the panchakosha bhimana. Because all our relationships are only in the vyavaharikam plane, in the dualistic, pluralistic, empirical realm. And we are trying to understand that empirical realm is not absolutely real. The real one is one, relationless asanga chaitanya. So this akhanda bhava parichiyate budhaihi, whichever student is able to remember at the time of Shravanam. So I said, at the time of Shravanam itself, the student is in Samadhi. Nididhyasanam. And that is why, we chant the Shanti Pata at the beginning of each session. The aim of Shanti Pata is to bring in that mental focus to the class, to the subject matter that is being taught. You can say it is the purpose of Shanti Pata is to become a sannyasi for the next hour or so. Forget your family, forget your office, forget everything. Be absorbed in aham pada lakshyartha hai. But given the reality of today's times, our biggest challenge is this unwavering commitment. 100 things are running in our mind. One of them is aham pada lakshyartha. And even if commitment is there, we have no time. We have so many worldly responsibilities, worldly commitments. We have to attend marriages, we have to visit relatives, friends. Relatives visit us. We have to have time for all those, which for us are priorities as compared to the Vedanta classes. Therefore, having this focus at the stage of Shravanam itself is a very big challenge. And not only Shravanam, later we are supposed to do Mananam also. If we do not have time for Shravanam itself, how to recommend Mananam? How can Nididhyasanam be recommended? There is no time. Shankaracharya is going to use hundreds of verses for Nididhyasanam. In fact, after this, straight away Acharya begins with Nididhyasanam. Verses from the original text I am talking about, 253 to 418 or so, are all Nididhyasanam. The entire portion we have skipped. Swami Paramarthananda has selected a few verses out of that. But Adi Shankara discusses Nididhyasanam elaborately. Unfortunately, we are all caught up in a very fast life. There is no time for even a 1 hour talk. Just see today's attendance. We got 12 people. Normally, we will have 17, 18 people. Of course, all of them have told me they have got this commitment, that commitment. Somebody has had a minor accident and had some surgery done. All, no complaint against that. But what I'm saying is that unwavering commitment becomes challenging rather. What I am trying to point out is that inner leisure is not there. Renunciation alone can give that inner leisure. If not physical renunciation, at least as Swami Paramarthananda ji says, port reduction, P-O-R-T. Port means possessions, obligations, relationships, and transaction reduction. Reducing our activities, slowing down. Listen to 1 hour talk mindfully. Don't look at your watch, keep on looking at your watch when the talk will be over so that you can immediately jump to the next appointment or next commitment. So parichiyate means the student registers the message. if he has got that leisure in his mind and remembers Panchakosha Viveka topic deeply, Nischiyate, to ascertain, to deeply register. And if we take the meaning of Buddhaihi as wise people, then we can say for qualified people for whom Aham Brahmasmi becomes a fact. Wise people, it has become a fact, that's why they are wise. And then Shankaracharya says, this is not a casual teaching, not an incidental teaching. This is the central teaching of our entire Upanishads. As I told you in the last class, in Chandogya Shashtadhyaya itself, Tattvamasi is repeated 9 times, giving a different example each time. Therefore, Acharya says, Evam Mahavakya Shatena Katyate. Evam, in this manner, Mahavakya Shatena. Shatam means 100. So here, Acharya is clarifying, don't think there are only 4 Mahavakyams. Tattvamasi, Aham Brahmasmi, Prajnanam Brahma, Aham Atma Brahma. These are the normally popular Mahavakyams. They are only samples, one each taken from each of the 4 Vedas. But Mahavakyams themselves are hundreds of Mahavakyams are there if you look at the Upanishad. In Taittiriya Upanishad itself, there is a famous Mahavakyam, Yas sa yas chayam purushe, yas chavaditye sa ekaha. This is the Mahavakyam. Sa yaha cha ayam purushaha, yaha cha aditye. Aditya here stands for Brahman. Sa ekaha. Both are, there is only one. Mahavakya. You look at Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan says, Kshetragyam chapi mam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. Mahavakya. And in fact, in Bhagavad Gita, Adi Shankara writes a very, very elaborate bhashyam for this mantra, which is for this sloka, which occurs in the 13th chapter. Bhagavad Gita students, we will study that when we come to the 13th chapter. Because that is also a Mahavakyam. Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata. I am the Kshetranya, may you know. So it is not that Tattvamasi alone is a Mahavakyam. There are several. In fact, Mahavakya Shatena, he says. Katyate is revealed. Lakshyate. The aim of the seeker is accomplished. What is that? Brahmatmanoho aikyam akhanda bhavaha. So akhanda bhavaha, another word he uses is aikyam. And you see, this is the beauty of Adi Shankara. In fact, all good teachers, in fact, even Pujya Swamiji also, I have seen it, n number of examples. If they feel that a particular word could cause some confusion in the mind of the student, they will immediately qualify that with another word which will clear the meaning, what exactly they mean. Because aikyam is a word used to point out this oneness. But aikyam is also a word used to denote merger. In Tamil, those who know Tamil, they say, Bhagavan oda aikyam aita. He has merged with Bhagavan. So in order to make what he wants to say very clear, Shankaracharya is using the word akhanda bhavaha. Because when we use the word aikyam, that could be misunderstood as jiva merging into Ishvara. And then all the other consequences. Moksha means jiva merges into Ishvara. So jiva travels after death and goes and merges with Ishvara. And this is how all other theological systems interpret moksha. We imagine that the jiva will travel and join Ishvara, Vaikunta, Kailasha, etc. Here Shankaracharya is implying, if you go to Vaikunta or Kailasa, you will come back also. Because going or reaching Swarga or Vaikunta is only a karma phalam. Karma phalam is anityam. Therefore, after some time, Chine Punye, Matte Lokam Mishanti. When the karma phalam is exhausted, you will have to come back. Therefore, there is a misconception with most people that moksha means jiva will travel and join Bhagavan. Aikyam is misunderstood as joining. And there is no question of joining because there is only one consciousness. As we just now saw, Akhanda Bhava, that's why he uses the word Akhanda Bhava. When that consciousness is all pervading, how can something travel and reach another? Everywhere it is there. Where is the space for travel? Therefore, the special meaning you should remember, merging, aikyam means, when we talk of merging into Ishvara during moksha, means understanding that I am never away from Ishvara. Understanding that I am no different from Ishvara. That understanding alone is called merger. Merger is not a physical event. It is a clean intellectual event because understanding happens in the intellect, not in the Atma. Ignorance and misconception are also in the mind or intellect only. And that ignorance can go only when the understanding comes, knowledge comes in the intellect. So all along, I mistook that I am away from God. I am different from God. That is why to see God, I used to go to temple every day, morning and evening. It was a misconception in the intellect. Of course, I don't mean to say that we should not go to temples. In fact, today or yesterday, I read sometimes very nice WhatsApp messages come. This question is raised. When you say God is everywhere, why should we go to the temple? A very standard question of the so-called rationalists. This question was put to Mahaperiyava, Shankaracharya of Kanchi, Mahaperiyava. He gave a beautiful answer. He says, you know that blood is everywhere in our body. But if you want to do a blood test, somewhere we have to pierce the body and take the blood out, isn't it? Similarly, even though God is everywhere, in the temple also God is there, but temple is a place from where we can draw the grace of God for our purposes, for what we want to do. Another example, we can say, air is everywhere, right? But when we feel hot, why do we go under a fan, a ceiling fan or a table fan or a pedestal fan? It's the same air. The fan doesn't produce any air. When the blades swirl, they don't produce any air. They are only circulating the air and then throwing it on you so that you feel comfortable. So we have to understand all these things, People with some either lack of understanding or with some malintentions will raise all such questions. So, that I am different from God, this mistake, this misconception is in the intellect. Now I drop that misconception and understand that I am God. I was and I ever will be God. Therefore, there is no physical merger. Merger is a figurative merger in the form of understanding that happens in the intellect. And therefore, only we must be careful. Vedanta doesn't say you must transcend the intellect like Ashtanga Yoga says. Ashtanga Yoga Samadhi means you transcend all your mental thoughts. It can never happen. For a temporary period, you can suspend them, but then it will again come. Thoughts cannot be, as long as the mind is there in the body, it will be active only. You cannot transcend it. And therefore only, we should not transcend the intellect. Transcendent is in terms of understanding. If you look at it, the irony is we use the intellect to claim that I am not the intellect. I am the consciousness, which is the revealer of intellect also. Anyhow, we can go on all these things. All these things are all cognitive phenomena, discriminative understanding. And Vivekachudamani is all about Viveka only. Let us come back to the shloka. So he says, Evam Mahavakya Shatena Brahmatmanoho Akhanda Bhavaha Aikyam Kathyate. So with this, the Mahavakya Vichara part is complete. So now, in the following two slokas, Adi Shankara is going to consolidate the entire central teaching. Because it is a consolidation, he is bringing all ideas into two slokas. He uses a different meter, a bigger meter. In fact, they are very important slokas. They are worth memorizing. We will read verse number 81. Mritkaryam sakalam gathadi satatam brunmatramevabhitaha tadvat sajjanitam sadatmakamidam sanmatramevakhilam yasman nasti satam sataf param kimapi tat satyam sa atma swayam tasmat tattvamasi prashantamamalam brahmadvayam yat param. Long sloka. The Anvaya of this sloka is Mritkaryam sakalam ghatadi satatam abhitaha mrinmatram eva semicolon tadvat sajjanitam idam akhilam sadatmakam sanmatram eva full stop yasmat satah param kimapina asti full stop tat satyam swayam atma. Full stop. Tasmat yat prashantam amalam param advayam tat brahmatvam asi. One sloka divided into 5 sentences. Well, if we do that only, we will know which word has to be read with which word, so make a meaning out of it. That's why Anvaya becomes very, very important when we are trying to understand the slokas. So let us see the word meaning. Brit Karyam, product of clay. Brit means clay. Sakalam, all. Gatadi, pot, etc. Satatam, always. Abhitaha, all through. Mrinmatram eva is nothing but clay. Tadvat, similarly. Sajjanitam, born of Sat. Idam, this. Akhilam, all. Sadatmakam, having its beginning in Sat. Sanmatram eva is nothing but Sat alone. Yasmat, because Sataf Param, a cause other than Sat, Kimapina Asti, there is none. Tat, that, Satyam is the truth. Swayam itself. Atma is the Atma. Tasmat, therefore, Yat, which, Prashantam, free from modifications. Amalam, free from stain. Param, limitless. Advayam, non-dual. Tat, that, Brahma, Brahman. Tvam, you, Asi, are. So all that is produced of clay, like the pot, etc., are always nothing but clay all through. Similarly, all that is born of Sat, having its being in Sat, is nothing but Sat alone. Because there is nothing other than Sat, that Sat is the truth. That is itself the Atma. Therefore, you are that Brahman which is free from modifications and stains and is limitless and non-dual. This is what Adi Shankara is conveying in this sloka, which is summarizing all the teaching. So as I said earlier also, the cardinal teaching of Vedanta is generally presented in the form of 3 components. What are they? Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. This Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, that occurs in a text called Brahma Jnana Mala. It is a very beautiful work on Nididhyasanam or Vedantic meditation. It has 21 verses. And in the 20th verse, this sloka occurs. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha Anena Vedyam Satchatram Iti Vedanta Dindimaha. Anena Vedyam means in this manner one should understand Satchatram, the Vedanta Shastram, Iti Vedanta Dindimaha. This is the declaration of the Upanishads. And as we have seen, all these cardinal teachings, going back from verse 66 to 73, the Brahma Swarupam we saw. There, the first 2 components, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, were covered. And in Chandogya Upanishad, Shashtadhyaya, 6th chapter, Brahma Satyam and Jagan Mithya is covered in the first 7 sections, which we have covered it here from 66 to 73. See, this entire portion, Adi Shankara actually has has actually brought Chandogya Upanishad and explained the whole thing. So as I said, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, we have covered it from 66 to 73 in our selection. Then the third component, the most important one, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha, we covered in verses 74 to 80. And in Chandogya Upanishad, this is dealt with in sections 8 to 16, 9 sections. Thus, the entire 6th chapter of Chandogya Upanishad beautifully presents Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. And that is what Adi Shankara beautifully here is presented. And for revealing that Brahman is real and Jagat, the world, is unreal or Mithya, in Chandogya, 3 examples were taken. The clay and earthenware example, gold and ornament example, iron and hardware example. 3 examples, Chandogya mantras are there. Yata saumyaikena mritpindena sarvam mrinmayam vigyatam syat. Yata saumyaikena lohamanina sarvam lohamayam vigyatam syat. Yata saumyakena nakhanikrintanena sarvam karshnaya samvigyatam syat. 3 examples, clay, gold, and iron examples are given. And these examples, these 3 examples are showing that Karanam, the cause, is Satyam, because that alone remains in all periods of time. Karyam, the products, are Mithya because they do not exist in all periods of time. Before and later, they are not there. Even in between, when the product exists, they don't have their own existence. You take the case of a pot, earthenware, any earthenware. That earthenware has got existence, did not have existence before it was made, and after it is broken or destroyed, it will not have existence, that pot or a plate or whatever it is. And during its existence also, what is the content? What is the cause? Clay is the cause. So it borrows its existence from clay alone. Thus, Karanam Satyam, Karyam Mithya argument was used throughout the clay and pot example. Vacha Rambanam Vikaro Namadheyam Mritika Ityeva Satyam. The Karanam clay is Satyam. The Karyam pot is Mithya. And extending that, Karanam Brahman is Satyam, Karyam world is Mithya. And therefore, Chandogya Upanishad says that Brahman, which is Satyam, is the truth behind the entire creation. And not only Brahman is the truth behind the creation, Brahman is the truth behind your own created body-mind complex also. If you are the body, mind, sense complex, the product, then your truth is also behind you. Just as the clay is behind the earthenware. The body, mind complex is also like earthenware only, isn't it? It is also a product. But behind that complex, that product, that sanghata, is the real you. Your real you is nothing but that Brahman. Karanam Brahman is behind your own Karyam Shariram, Karya mind. And that Brahman is available as Atma. And if Brahman is the truth behind the creation, it is in my own body in the form of Chaitanyam, the five-featured consciousness, which is the real me. Again, Chandogya says, Saya esho animaitadatmyamidam sarvam tat satyam sa atma tattvamasi shvetaketo iti bhuya eva ma bhagavan vijnanapayatviti tata saumyeti hovacha. Etad atmyamidam sarvam. Chandogya says that Brahman is the truth behind everything. Tat Satyam, that Brahman is the reality. Saha Atma, that Brahman is behind the entire creation, behind your own body, mind, sense complex also. Tattvamasi, you are that Atma. You are essentially that Brahman. You are the body superficially for Vyavahara. You are the mind superficially for Vyavahara. But essentially you are Brahman. And this message is repeated 9 times in the Chandogya Upanishad. Thus, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Naparaha. Jiva means Jivatma. Brahmaiva na aparaha. The cause alone is real. All effects and products are nothing but names and forms. They don't have independent existence of their own. Just as the wave understands, essentially I am water. Similarly, Brahman alone is Satyam. The entire universe is nothing but just names and forms. And they are Mithya. So just as a wave has to realize I am water, similarly, I have to realize that I am the Atma, which is the Brahman behind the whole universe. Therefore, you can say Brahman is the truth of the universe. Or you can even say boldly, I am the truth of the universe, if that I is meant as Chaitanya. And that is what the student does. Once he has understood this, what does he say? Mayeva sakalam jatam, mayi sarvam pratishtitam, mayi sarvam layam yati, tad brahma advayam asmi aham. Kaivalya Upanishad says, I am Brahman. Brahman is the cause of the universe. Therefore, I am the cause of the universe. Mayeva sakalam jatam. Everything is born of me only. So instead of saying I am the product of the universe, I learned to say I am the cause of the universe. Without me, the world cannot exist. How beautiful it is, isn't it? Most important person is me. I am the one who is the cause of this entire universe. Matto nanyat kinjit nasti vishwam satyam bhakyam vastu mayopaklitam आदर्शांतर आदर्शांतः भासमानस्य तुल्यम मय्यै द्वैते भाति तस्मात् शिवोहम. Another beautiful shloka, of course I have not studied this shloka. It's called Advaita Pancharatnam. Same message. Any Vedanta text you take, the message is the same. I am the truth, the all-pervading truth. That's the summary of the entire 16 sections of Chandogya, 6th chapter. Shankaracharya presents in one verse. What a condensation. That's the brilliance of Adi Shankar. Therefore, this sloka is very, very important. Now let us, I think we have got 5 minutes. Let us start looking at the sloka. So he says, Mritkaryam sakalam ghatati satatam mrinmatra bhitaha. Mrinmatra abhitaha. All the earthenware born out of the earth or clay are nothing but clay alone. Mrinmatram eva. Names are many, but the thing is clay and clay alone. Gatadi means pot, etc. Earthenware like pots, plates, cups. Sakalam, all these earthenware. Lid, anything you can see. Today, many people are returning to these cooking vessels made of clay. In fact, it's the most healthy way of cooking. Very easy to maintain these clay pots, etc. And after you cook also, you save on fuel because you can switch off the gas or whatever it is. Because that clay that retains the heat and 50% or at least 25% of the cooking takes place in that heat alone. I'm saying all these things because I use clay pot for cooking. Okay. So, Britkaryam, which are all, Karyam means products, all products of clay, born out of clay, by simple addition of Nama Rupa. When you say pot is gone, really speaking, pot, the thing is not gone. Only the Nama Rupa pot is gone. Clay is still there. The amount of clay which formed the pot remains. Therefore, Britkaryam, the pot which is the product of clay, is nothing but Mrinmatrameva. What you call pot is nothing but clay with a superficial Nama Rupa. Non-variable clay with a variable Nama Rupa is alone called pot. And it is Mrinmatrameva Satatam, all the time. Not just before the creation and after destruction. Even while we are handling the pot, a Jnani will say, there is no such thing called pot. In fact, he will say it keeping in hand the pot that is holding water. He will say there is no such thing called pot. There is only clay which is real with non-variable superficial Nama Rupa. What happens is we use a new word and get trapped, thinking that there is duality. There is a clay and there is a pot. But they don't create duality. Advaitam continues. Before the creation of pot, after the creation of pot, after the destruction of pot, Advaitam, clay alone is there. Vedanta is all about seeing this reality. Similarly, Advaitam, Brahman alone was, is, and ever will be. Satatam. Satatam means always. Trikale api mrinmatram eva. It is only clay. You only name it pot. But that naming ceremony is important. Because if I use the word clay for all earthenware, there will be no communication. If I want a lid, I have to say bring clay. If I want pot, I will have to say bring clay. It is just like, all children having the same name. Which child will answer when you call? When I refer to bangles, rings, chains, etc., all the times we will have to say gold, gold, gold. The other person will ask which gold. Therefore, Vyavahara requires pluralistic names. Sarvani Rupani Vichitya Dhiraha Namani Kritva Bhivadana Yadhaste. Purusha Suktam. So, for Vyavahara, for transactions, we require the name and form, but we must never forget the content is the real one. Name and forms are they are transient. They'll come and go. So we require pluralistic name and form, but do not allow them to trap you. Names are many, substance is one. So satatam rinmatram eva, there is only clay. Abhitaha means everywhere. In and through all earthenware, clay alone is there always. This is the example given in Chandogya 6th chapter. And Shankaracharya brings out that example here and extends it to Brahman and the world. More we will see in the next class. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. If anybody has not marked the attendance, please do so. And thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Guruji. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you, Guruji. Namaskaram.
Thank you.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಗುರುಜಿ ಹರಿ ಓಂ
Dhanyawada, Hari Om.
Thank you, Guruji. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Thank you, Guruji. Pranam. Hari Om. Thank you for the lovely
Thank
session.
you.
Namaste.
Thank you. No hands have gone up, so I presume no questions are there. We'll close the session, with your permission, and continue next week. Hari Om. Thank you all.
Hari Om,
Om,
Guruji.
Guruji.
Dhanyawada.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om.